Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Doug Fisher.
I'd like to invite all of you to reflect on what Brian just talked about. And think about what it meant to you. And what key themes you drew from what he talked about. Now for me personally, there were two key things that came out of Brian's talk. The first being collaboration. And the second being innovation. Those are the two key themes that I heard Brian talk about. This is the year of the goat. And what's very cool about those two themes is it's exactly the characteristics of the year of the goat. And that's why we're here in China today, to innovate and collaborate together. And we've been doing exactly that for 20 years in software. We've been here for 20 years, collaborating and innovating together. We have over 1,000 software engineers in China, so we can work together with you to innovate and collaborate. And we're going to do this across connected devices, the data center and cloud, the fabric that connects them, and the ecosystem we build around. All of this together. What's core to this? What's central to this? It's China. This is where it's going to happen. This is where the innovation is going to occur. That's why we're here. That's why we're working together. I'm going to touch on a few examples in each area of things we're doing collaboratively in this space together in software right here in China. On connected devices, last year I spoke about the common architecture and how important that is for developers to have that common, consistent architecture. From the smallest form factor device to the largest data center, having that consistent architecture is critical when you're developing software. One of the things you asked us to do is to work together on how to build the firmware platform much more rapidly so you can get to your innovation quicker. This is one of the areas we've been working together to build out. Last year I spoke about the unified binary management suite that allowed us to build firmware. It was in beta at the time. I'm proud to announce that we're now productizing that. It's called the Intel Firmware Engine. This gives you an easy-to-use graphical user interface to build firmware for our platforms. Getting out of the way so you can innovate. It's launching today, and it's available on Quark and Atom today. And we'll continue to add capabilities on our roadmap throughout the year. And the other great thing about that, it's free, and it's available to you. We've also talked a lot about the innovation we're doing around multiple operating environments. It is critical that we optimize these operating environments to take full advantage of what we do in Intel architecture. It's absolutely critical that when you participate with one of these ecosystems, whether it's Linux, Android, Chrome, Windows, or Apple, that you can be assured that we've optimized fully on our platform in that operating environment. I'm going to talk about two of those today, Windows and Android. Now you heard about our 46 million tablet challenge we took last year. You all participated in helping us achieve that goal. And when it came to Windows, you said we need help. We need two things from you, Intel. We need to collaborate and innovate together to make that possible. And that was efficiency and cost reduction. And so we worked together and collaborated on that. And how did we do? Working together, we were able to reduce the BOM costs on Bay Trail platforms by $20 or more. We were able to reduce the amount of operating system space necessary in manufacturing by 50%. And we were able to reduce the cycle time in building these devices by 20 minutes. So together, we were actually able to collaborate and innovate so we could have this wall of devices shipping right here out of China, helping us achieve that goal of 40 million units, and we hit 46 million. Thank you. We're not stopping there. We're continuing to work with Microsoft on the continuum. Brian talked about the great innovations that we're driving. Windows Hello, which you saw, the facial recognition, wireless docking, Miracast, all sorts of technologies. From our small form factor devices to our highest end platforms, we're ensuring that experience on Windows is second to none on Intel architecture. The Continuum will run on Intel, and together we'll make that possible. So I'd like to introduce Chuck over here. He's going to show us an example of what we're doing with Microsoft. As you innovate on these different form factors Brian talked about, building these new capabilities, let's take a look at some of the stuff we're doing with Microsoft to make it more intuitive on these devices. Chuck?
Hey Doug, how's it going?
Good.
So Intel and Microsoft are working together to drive 2-in-1 awareness right into their new OS. So let me show you what that means to you. So here you can see I have a Surface Pro 3 with that standard desktop we all know and love and are so productive in, right? I've got my newsreader up, I've got some applications in the background, but let's see what happens when I remove the keyboard. So, work on this magnet here. It pops up, asks if I want to go to tablet mode. I do. Instantly my whole experience changes. You can see my reader becomes bigger, it's all touch oriented. I get to my applications different. But when I put the keyboard back on, I'm right back into that desktop experience that we're so productive in.
Fantastic. That's very cool stuff. As you can see, as you innovate in these new form factors, we're working together to ensure that the experience is seamless, that it makes sense, it's intuitive. And that's the kind of work we're doing together. Let's take a look at Android. One of the things you asked us to do is help accelerate the quality and efficiency in building these devices. If we're going to ship 40 billion units, let's get better about doing that. And that's when we built the Intel Build Tool Suite. As you recall, last year I talked about collaborating directly with China Tech ecosystem to get the requirements to make that tool chain the most efficient for you. And we got all those requirements and we built it, and it was very effective. I demonstrated what used to take a week to build. It used to take a week to build a system. We demonstrated you could do it in minutes using this tool chain. Pulling the latest operating environment, the latest drivers, ensuring that they're validated together, and really giving you faster time to market and better quality. But in our typical tradition of working together and collaborating, that wasn't enough. You asked for more. You asked for even faster time to market, more differentiation. So we worked with Google and announced the Intel Reference Design for Android. The Intel Reference Design for Android has a pre-qualified set of components and a system image that's completely validated with those components, accelerating your time to market, your ability to compete in the industry, and getting Android tablets out there. And that's what that does. In addition, when Android or Google modifies Android, within 2 weeks of modifying it, it will be available over-the-air update to these devices, keeping them always fresh, keeping always available the latest capabilities in Android. And finally, because it's validated, it's certified, and passed all the test suites, it comes with GMS access, which is another great differentiation for you participating with this platform. We've had multiple ODMs like ECS, Mulata, and Chip HD already building systems around this specification. We have OEMs shipping platforms like TrekStore and CloudPhone already shipping these platforms. So instead of me talking about it, let's hear from ECS and CloudPhone about their experience with the Intel Reference Design for Android.
ECS has been working with Intel IDF for 1.5 years. And so actually for this program, the most important is the component selection. Because with this component selection, we save a lot of the resource on the engineering, especially on the BSD, the software fine-tune. And of course, in the past, we will spend hundreds of engineers to maintain the software for 2 years, but now it's not necessary anymore. So we just do this program, and then we don't need to take care too much on the software maintenance in the next 2 years. That's why it benefits for ECS as ODM. The most important value of Intel RDA product is to have 2 years updated from the end user. And the most important is this update will come in very fast, in 2 weeks. Whenever that Google has now launched a new version of Android, within 2 weeks time frame, you will get a fast update. And again, the goal of this program is really to have the most competitive tablet with the lowest price point, but never sacrifice the quality and the user experience. And we see this as a great value for end users.
For CloudPhone, our first device on the Intel RDA platform, a 7-inch device. We launched that a few months ago, and customer response to that product was amazing. We were able to deliver this because of Intel RDA. I think that with Intel and Google working together, they're able to do a lot of the heavy lifting on software and deliver the software with the best customer experience. So by working on the RDA platform, it just simplifies things and delivers the right experience that the customer should get. One of the exciting things that we're able to do with the Intel RDA is to work with the Philippine operators, Globe Telecom, to be able to bring the latest product. Operators see the over-the-air updates as important for the customers. I think that they want to deliver the best customer experience, the latest software, the best experience for all the products that they are selling to their customers. And I think that Intel Reference Design is able to do to help them deliver this commitment to their customers.
Yeah, how cool is that? So this is actually the device that CloudPhone is shipping today. It's called the CloudPad, and it's available in market today. So they moved quickly and took full advantage of that capability. Now, we're not stopping there. Our roadmap will continue to advance. We're going to add Phablet, 10-inch tablet. We're going to add Sophia 3G and LTE. So we're going to continue to evolve the roadmap to take full advantage of the latest technologies we are driving at Intel. So working with you, we can get these systems to market much quicker, adding more value for your end user. Now last year when I talked to you, I said there's 2 other key things that we need to focus on. They were native development and 64-bit. And I'm really pleased to tell you that the native development capabilities for Unity, which 70% of the games here in China are built with Unity, is now native on Intel architecture. So let's take a look at what Tencent's done, taking advantage of that Unity engine and building a native platform. Now, what you're going to see is the performance difference between running unnative and native. So Chuck, can you show us what we got?
So we have 2 identical tablets. Again, native on this system, non-native on this one. And you still have that excellent smooth gameplay, right? But what you're going to notice on the native system, we have drastically lower CPU utilization. So that means our system runs cooler, we can do more with the CPU, and that battery life gets extended throughout the day, so you have much better, longer use of your system.
Fantastic. So it's a better user experience as they've developed native applications. On 64-bit, I argue there's nobody better than Intel in moving the transition in an ecosystem to 64-bit. We've been doing that for years across multiple operating environments, and we're doing it on Android. I told you that applications need to be running on Android. Malata, one of the companies taking advantage of the Intel reference design for Android, has a 64-bit solution out there, and now we're seeing ISVs locally here in China taking advantage of 64-bit. So Chuck, why don't you show them the benefits of doing that?
So again, 2 identical systems, one 32-bit, one 64. I'm going to play an animation, and let's take a look and see what that looks like. Start these at the same time. Now, up in the upper right-hand corner, it's very hard to see, but you can notice the frame rate on our 64-bit system is over 90 frames per second. On the 32-bit system, we're in the 60s. So again, a drastic performance increase. Your games run better, your movies play smoother, just because of the 64-bit upgrade.
Fantastic. Thank you, Chuck. So you're seeing what we're doing together and innovating on these client ecosystems. Now, these devices have a great experience, but that experience on a client device is not limited to what happens on the device itself. The data center participates. We talked about the 50 billion devices in 2020. 50 billion connected devices. They're connecting to the data center as well. And what are they generating? We predict by 2020, they'll generate 44 zettabytes of data. 44 zettabytes of data. And what are you going to do with that data? You're going to mine that data and provide better value to your client devices. What's that going to do? It's going to drive the need for more client devices, which then generates more data. We call this the virtuous cycle of computing, and it's happening now. And so what are we doing on the data center side to ensure that we optimize for this experience? We talked about our work in Hadoop, and we're going to continue to invest in Hadoop, upstream, optimizing all the capabilities we can to ensure that when the data center is mining all that data for value, the performance is best on Intel. We have driven performance improvements upstream in Hadoop for the past year, showing markable improvement in performance. One example is the work we've done in encryption. Just the work we've done in encryption alone has improved the performance by 17x. 17x, and that value goes right to the bottom line for our customers. As we drive this upstream, companies like Hadoop, Hortonworks, MapR, others pull that value. There's one customer we participate directly with, which is Cloudera, to be the rabbit to drive this into the market. And they're doing just that here in China. They're hitting multiple verticals, whether it's telecom, banking, insurance, and other verticals, and delivering that capability to their customers. And so you can assure that when you use these distributions, that all those great optimizations are available. So when you deploy those solutions, you can ensure that they take full advantage of all the capabilities we've built into that software layer that connects to the hardware. There's a company we work collaboratively with in China called Youku. You know they deliver premium content to end users. They had a desire to deliver a great experience with a new platform. And in order to do that, they had to have great performance in data analytics. It turns out at the same time, we were working on the open source project called Spark, which is in-memory data analytics. We were optimizing that to take full advantage of Intel architecture. By doing so, it improved performance dramatically. By collaborating with Youku, we were able to move their solution, the performance-hungry parts of their solution, to Spark, giving their customer a better experience. By collaborating and innovating with Youku, what results did we achieve? We reduced data processing time by 94%. We reduced computational time by 92%. That collaboration led to great innovation, great results, and great value to their end users. That's an example of how we work together locally with China to drive that innovation. Yeah. Now, Spark has a lot of different places we can innovate. One of them that we're looking at today is the ability to analyze real-time video streaming. It's a very high-intensive compute environment. Having an in-memory analysis is optimal for that type of usage model. So we mocked up an example of how you can use video streaming analytics using Spark. Now, I like coffee. I go to a national chain, a worldwide chain. When I go to my local coffee shop, they know who I am. They know what drink I like. But I'm here in China, they're not going to know me, and they're not going to know my drink. But if you take and utilize this capability and opt in for this experience, I can have that same type of treatment anywhere in the world. So as I walk up to the store, it's going to capture my image. It's going to pull that image off, and it's going to pull it back, and you can see it capturing my image up above, and it's going to pull it off and put it in the back end, and use Spark to analyze and determine who I am. And there it is. It already knows, the server already knows who I am, so they can address me by name. In addition, they know exactly what drink I typically pick, and so now they can easily prepare that drink in advance for me and give it to me right away. And you can see this very popular drink here in China that we all like. Thank you. You know, our work in open source doesn't stop there. We have a deep, deep tradition in working in open source to drive innovation. Whether it's in OpenStack, where we're a platinum member and now on the board of OpenStack. Whether it's Linux, where we're the #1 contributor to the kernel. Or whether it's Android and Chrome. Intel is known for our ability to collaborate and innovate in open source. And we do that right here in China, and we've been doing it for years, collaborating in open source projects and innovations. There's nobody better in China to talk about our work together and how we're collaborating and innovating going forward than my first guest, Professor Ni. Welcome, Professor Ni. So we've been working together for over 15 years, doing some amazing things together in collaboration. I'd love you to tell everybody what we're doing and what you see the future bringing for our opportunities to work together.
OK， 大家上午好，这个很高兴参加英特 IDF 2015。我们知道，随着那个新一代信息技术的发展呢，开源软件发展的越来越快，又成为主流软件的趋势。我们在中国呢，我们认为推进开源软件呢，它有利于就是营造一个自主可控的软件生态系统，也有助于呢推动在新兴领域的大众创业。这个是符合国家战略，所以应当提倡，应当支持。那么在过去的15年里呢，英特尔就是一直致力于推动中国开源社区的建设。比如说呢，从2006年开始，就是参与主办就是开源中国、开源世界的峰会。从2006年开始呢，主办中国人工智能内核的开发者大会。在2009年呢，也举办了在上海呢举办了就是全球的这样的峰会。同时呢，我们知道像英特尔亚太研发有限公司的资深工程师。就是他得到了中日韩东北亚开放论坛的开源特殊贡献奖，就是是英特尔的工程师得到了风光。那么英特尔对开源社区的贡献呢，得到了广大社区的赞誉。我们看到中国的企业呢，目前来讲，绝大多数呢还是开源软件的使用者。我们希望他们向英特尔学习，从开源软件的使用者发展到开源软件的参与者，再发展到开源软件的贡献，做出我们应有的贡献。大家知道，我们基于开源软件发展中国的国产操作系统呢，它是有助于就是我们做到自主可控。也对于国家网络安全信息安全的需要做需要。那么我们看到呢，作为开源软件的主要成员，英特尔呢一直来支持和国产操作系统相关的创新。我们呢会基于英特尔长期的合作关系呢，在国产操作系统的研发方面已经进行了深入的合作，包括平台优化，包括技术开放技术的等等，我们期待在今后日子里能够和英特尔有更多的机会进行合作，推进中国开源软件发展。Thank you， 谢谢大家。Thank you。
What an honor it is to have Professor Ni talk. Such a legend here in China. All right, so now we have these devices. We have the data center. You need to connect these. Now the devices are going to connect to the data center, but just as critical is these 50 billion devices talking to each other. Imagine 50 billion devices, the value that you can pull out of those devices if they could find a way to communicate in a standard way together. This is so important for the innovation and proliferation of these devices, so multiple companies can build their devices and ensure that they can participate in a device-to-device ecosystem. This is why Intel was so committed to working with other companies to found what we call the Open Interconnect Consortium. This is a standard way, an open platform that has a certification program to ensure that your device will interoperate with other companies' devices, giving you that incremental value. And one last thing, royalty-free. That's what's going to drive innovation. We do not want to tax people for using this capability, and that's why we're driving it. And that's also why we've seen over 60 companies already join the Open Interconnect Consortium. You should be looking to do the same. Just like a local company here in China has joined, Lenovo. I love their quote. We believe the Chinese market is critical to the development of IoT, and we encourage other Chinese companies to join OIC. With that, I'm pleased to announce our latest member of OIC right here in China, the China Academy of Information and Communication Technology, who has joined to help influence this specification and ensure that the local China needs are met within this standard. So let's work together to ensure this is successful. Now, I want to have a simple example of how we see this evolving, showing you how devices communicating together can bring more and more value in the environment. So Chuck, why don't you show us what we have? So
we've got a pilot program we're working with Tencent, and we're going to really tie all these devices together in your house. But they're all from different makers. So we have an Arduino light switch, we have an Edison lamp, we have my home TV, my stereo, my phone, and my Minimax gateway that ties all that up to the server and comes back down. So typically, I work late, come home when it's dark, have to find a light switch, hassle, right? But now I can come home, pass my hand over the sensor, light comes on, TV comes on, everything's ready for me to be home and be comfortable. Like I said, everything's connected, including my phone, so I can simply go into my phone, have a few people over for maybe drinks at a party, just hit party mode, boom, jams come on, my friends are over, my light's on, but pretty soon you're going to see my heart rate is going through the roof. I'm tired, it's too exciting, I got to calm down, so I simply hit a button. Everybody starts to go home, music's off, I calm down. It's a good day.
Great. All right, thank you very much. So, love the way I sit on that couch. So you can see that's just a simple example, but we're already seeing a lot of devices interoperating and communicating, and that's why talking together is so important between these two devices. Now, it's not just computation or computing or communication that you saw there. It was also electronic devices. Those are instrumental in working together. And that's why I invited the next guest to come up and talk about what we're doing together with Mr. Bo Zhao in helping ensure that OIC meets the needs of the electronic industry. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Mr. Bo Zhao to talk about this. Good to see you again. You know, last time you were here was 2 years ago. You talked about how important HTML5 was, and you were right. So today I'd like you to talk about how important standards are, both in OIC and other places, and how we're working together.
好，大家上午好，我感谢英特尔的邀请，我是赵波，来自中国电子技术标准化研究院。中国电子技术标准化研究院是中国从事信息和电子领域的专业标准化机构，长期以来负责计算机、软件、集成电路、网络信息安全等多个领域的标准化工作，提供标准研制、检验检测、认证评估、计量等多种服务。近年来，我们一直关注于物联网、云计算、大数据的标准化工作。在物联网方面，中国电子技术标准化研究院是国家物联网标准化基础工作组的和环端网标准化工作组的秘书处单位。我们组织相关的企业和科研单位呢，制定了多项的这个物联网标准。同时呢，我们也为国际的物联网标准化工作提供了技术方案和文本。我们院和英特尔公司呢，长期以来呢，开展了多项的合作，特别是在2013年，我们跟英特尔公司签署合作备忘录以来呢，我们双方在云计算、物联网、大数据等热点技术领域呢，都取得了可喜的成果。 比如在我们院的实验室搭建了基于 OpenStack 的实验平台，同时呢，我们两家呢也共同推动了开源软件的标准化工作。在物联网时代呢，众多的智能设备呢要互联和协同操作，那么标准化的工作呢就非常的重要。当前呢，许多技术领先的公司呢都在致力于推动物联网的这个标准化工作。我们了解到，英特尔公司呢也联合多家的业内的先进的公司，成立了 OIC， 意在呢满足亿万物联网设备的互联需求，保障智能设备之间相互通信和协同操作。那么，我们对 OIC 的成立呢和开展的工作呢也非常关注。我们也希望跟 OIC 呢建立更多的合作关系，来聚焦先进的技术和标准，共同推进智能设备的互联和协同操作。那么最后呢，我也期待着英特尔呢继续助力中国的产业发展，能够取得新的成功。谢谢，谢谢大家。
That's all about collaboration, working together to move standards forward. The final area I want to talk about is the developer ecosystem. It's really built of three things: the developers, the tools they need to use, and the programs we build together to drive that into the industry. And the great thing about China is you have developers. 1.5 million software developers, growing to over 3 million by 2020, in 5 years, doubling. What's that going to lead to? Cornerstone of innovation. That's why we're here. This is the cornerstone of innovation. With that much development horsepower, we're going to innovate together. And our participation with you and our collaboration with you is building those great tools to help you innovate, to help get the mundane things out of your way, accelerate your innovation, do what you do best, and delivering value to your end users. We have a broad set of tools, from the small form factor devices to the high-end data center. A lot of different tools. I want to show you one example of an OEM in China who has taken advantage of one of our tools to augment the experience on their phone. So Chuck, can we show them what we got here?
Sure thing. So we got an Asus phone. I got a game that's going to take our SDK and it tracks my movement. So all the accelerometers in the phone are then imported into my augmented reality game. And as you can see, as I move, the phone is moving. Oh, bugs incoming. So you can see all that happens just because my SDK is able to read all the stuff that's happening inside my phone.
Very cool. So what you see here is ASUS took advantage of our context sensing SDK and was able to build a really cool gaming experience on their device. And that's the kind of thing we want to bring to the market with you. Now there's a broad set of things that you can participate with us in. And that's why we have a one-stop portal for you to participate, and that's the Intel Developer Zone. It's a global program, and it's where you get insights and communities and participate and learn about all these tools that will advantage you and benefit you in building your solution. We use local language. We use WeChat technologies that are local to China to ensure that our communities are local and we engage with you locally. Brian announced the Intel Makerspace Accelerator program. That will be tied into this as well. So this is a place where you can engage with us and ensure that you get all the latest information. The website's listed below, so if you want to participate, take full advantage of these programs and tools, that's how you would do it. So in closing, no matter what, if you're optimizing and working together on devices, the cloud, the fabric, or the development ecosystem, it all comes down to one thing: working locally with you here in China. I couldn't think of any better way to close than to show you a very cool innovation right here in Shenzhen. A company called DJI, who's one of the best at building drones. We love our drones at Intel. And they're going to show you how they've incorporated our RealSense SDK to take advantage of this capability. So let's see what they have now. I find it quite fascinating that you guys are all being fenced off and they leave me in here. Tells you something. And at the end, when the drone lands, I will also deliver you a special message. Now, as you can see, they've integrated the RealSense SDK, so with gestures, we're able to control the drone. The drone's movements, wow, are controlled by the gestures. The camera is controlled by remote control. We'll integrate that over future time. And so by combining these things and taking advantage of our RealSense SDK, we can augment and build a better experience. Wave to the camera, everybody. There we go.